The Pittsburgh Steelers have done it. They've clinched a playoff spot. The Steelers will be in this year's playoffs. They needed either the Titans to beat the Jags or Miami to beat Buffalo in the later game today. But it does not matter because the Titans have beat the Jags. Who would have expected a 5-10 team to beat the 9-7 team? But it happened. The Titans dominated the game and the Jags have lost, which means the Steelers have secured a playoff spot. And this is huge for the Steelers. They've dealt with a lot of things this season. We never use them as excuses though, but now we could use it as motivation heading into the playoffs. The Steelers have overcome a lot, from injuries to suspensions to players being out. So you look at the Steelers team, they've been depleted all year. It started off the first game of the season where Cameron Heyward went down with an injury, a groin injury, needed surgery, was out for like half the season. Macus this season, he was out for like half the season as well, missing so many games. Then Deontay Johnson, he was also injured. He missed a lot of time. He missed 4 weeks to begin the season. So the Steelers, they've dealt with a lot of injuries, and those are not the only injuries they have dealt with. Their whole inside linebacker group, they've been injured the whole season. They've been basically playing with backups the entire year. They had to sign people who were coming out of retirement in Miles Jack, and they had to sign people who were not even in the league, like Eric Rowe. So the Steelers, their whole inside linebacker group was injured. Kwon Alexander out for a season. Cole Holcomb out for a season. Even Landon Roberts, he has a torn pec probably, and he's playing through it with one arm. So they're playing with backups at that position. Their safety position, they've been out. Keanu Neal, basically the whole season throughout the later half. He's missed a lot of time. And then DeMonte KZ, he gets suspended for the year. Macus, they've been playing with backup safeties for a while now. The Steelers have been dealing with injuries, and not even just injuries. They are also dealing with offensive coordinator problems. They had to fire their offense coordinator mid-year. Matt Canada got fired in mid-season. They had to switch their quarterbacks coach, switch their running backs coach, make them core coordinators, and then the Steelers offense started to pick up. But not even the offense coordinator. Even though we all were calling for his job at the beginning of the season, he continued on throughout the season. They decided to fire him. But not even that. We've been dealing with quarterback problems the whole year too. You look at Kenny Pickett. How many times did he get injured mid-game and then Mitchell Trubisky had to come in and then we end up losing the game? How many times did Mitchell Trubisky start and then we lost the game? How many times did the quarterback play so terribly that we lost the game? And then these last 3 weeks, Mason Rudolph comes in, wins out, and the Steelers make the playoffs. It would have been much easier, obviously. I understand. It would have been much easier if they just started Mason Rudolph and beat the Cardinals or beat the Patriots or like a 2-10 team or something like that. If they just beat them, they would have made it so much easier. But that did not happen, and we had to rely on other teams to win and us to win out in order to make the playoffs. And it happened. The Steelers are going to the playoffs. But there's a big update on TJ Watt. We all saw him get injured late in the game versus the Ravens very last week of the season yesterday. We seen him go down with that knee injury where Montravius Adams kind of clipped him with his leg and then his knee went backwards. It's not worst case scenario. It's not a torn ACL. It's not a torn MCL. It's a grade 2 sprain MCL, which JJ Watt, his obviously brother, reported on the situation, saying that he more than likely will be out a couple of weeks, need rest, and if the Steelers kind of move on in the playoffs, then he'll be able to come back. So it's not worst case scenario, but it does look like the Steelers will be without TJ Watt for their very first playoff game. He has yet to win a playoff game with the Steelers in his career or any career in the NFL so far. So obviously it was expected for him to play, maybe win his first playoff game with the team, but now he won't be playing in the game. Obviously, the Steelers, the big thing too, the big question mark of the season, Mike Tomlin, will he finally get fired because the Steelers are so poorly, they're not playing good. Many people were calling for his job. Even I thought maybe it would be time to let him go, but he has led the Steelers to the playoffs. Many people are saying, oh, he only cares about a winning record. Well, we made a playoffs. He's done his job, got them to the playoffs. Now, he's still playing with a depleted team. Don't get me wrong. His coaching this year, He's been out a lot of players, a lot of star players, a lot of role players. He's been out a lot of players. So the fact that Steelers were even able to get 10 wins with such a bad offense coordinator, such a bad quarterback play, such a depleted defense, and even sometimes on offense depleted, and at the very beginning of the season, their offense line wasn't great either. It was actually a good job if you think about it, getting them to a 10-win season. And you see all the hype around the Cleveland Browns, how their head coach should be coach of the year because he was dealing with so many injuries. Well, you look at it, if you look at them, what injuries did they really deal with? Other than the quarterback spot. They had the best defense in the NFL, and their offense was good after they got Joe Flacco. The only position they were really missing was quarterback, with Deshaun Watson being out, dealing with the quarterback position. And they end up winning with 11 wins on the season. The Steelers only got one less win than the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns have been getting so much hype this season with how well they've been playing. The Steelers did the exact same thing, basically, with bad quarterback play, bad offense coordinator play, bad defensive injuries, missing so many players, and just overall being really poorly played at the very beginning of the season. Their whole defense, their whole team had to be carried by their defense to begin the season. And then late towards the end of the season, their offense started to pick up. So if Browns have been doing the same thing, their coach is getting so much praise. I think Mike Tomlin deserves praise as well. But I know some people don't want to give him praise for certain reasons because they feel like he hasn't done a good job the last 7+ years. Also, another thing I'm going to say is many people are saying TJ Watt, he should not win Defensive Player of the Year. He will not win Defensive Player of the Year because the Steelers aren't making the playoffs. They're not a good team, and it's definitely a Myles Garrett award because the Cleveland Browns are one of the best teams in the NFL. Well, now what are they going to say? They both make the playoffs. Myles Garrett made the playoffs, and TJ Watt make the playoffs. And the Steelers only finished with one less win than Myles Garrett. And you look at the stats with TJ Watt compared to Myles Garrett, he leads them in every single category. Every category you look at, the only ones that Myles Garrett leads are the fake ones, or the ones that have to be brought up with advanced stats, like pressure win rate, or kind of who gets off the block faster. That's the only ones that Myles Garrett leads on, or double team rate. Every actual statistic like sacks, tackle for loss, interceptions, touchdowns, pass defense, everything, TJ Watt leads it. So what's going to be an excuse now for not giving TJ Watt, the person who led the league in sacks and has broken records? First player ever to lead the league in sacks for 3 years in their entire career. No other player has ever done that. And the second player ever to have 19+ sacks in multiple seasons. So TJ Watt, his team is going to the playoffs, even though he'll be out due to injury. How can he not win Defensive Player of the Year? And just overall in general, this has been a really good season. And just to talk about it even more, I give you more of an excuse, which is not even an excuse, but now should be used as motivation. Najee Harris. There was so much talk around Najee Harris at the beginning part of the season. How Jalen Warren, he looks like the clear number 1 running back. He should be the running back who starts. And he's a more explosive guy. And I get that. He is an explosive running back. But Najee Harris, late towards the end of the season, he's been carrying the Steelers. He's been doing one hell of a job with how he's running and how he's able to dominate the game and kind of be the workhorse running back he was expected to be. He might start the season slow. He did it 2 straight years. He starts the season slow, but late towards the end of the season, he starts picking it up, and he's picking it up at a very perfect time heading into the playoffs. And now, if he continues playing the way he does, and then Jalen Warren is able to add that spark, they really do have the best duo at the running back position in the NFL. There's been big talk also around the offense line for the Steelers. Dan Moore Jr., their right tackle position, their center position, their left guard, right guard, the whole offense line. There's been big talk towards the beginning of the season that they're just not good. Well, now you look towards the end of the season, they've been playing really good football, being able to run block with schemes. Even though their pass protection may not be the best, their run blocking has been amazing. So just like Najee Harris, they've been picking up towards the end of the season as well. So this whole team is kind of gelling together right now at the very perfect time. They might not have had it get going towards the beginning of the season, and they did a really bad job towards the beginning of the season, but you want to click at the right time and they're starting to click right now with one hell of a job by the defense and offense. And Mason Rudolph is ahead of that. Mason Rudolph has come in, put in some work. He hasn't played in 2+ seasons since the Detroit Lions game when Big Ben was out to illness. So he's come in. He has not really turned the ball over other than the fumble he got last game. He's done a good job hitting the right throws. He's been making some big plays, big throws at the right time, and is not making the wrong play. That's a big thing. Not making the wrong play and doing the easy things easily. You have to make the right throws at the right time and do it easily and not have the easy things become hard. And that's what he has done, and that's why the offense has clicked. Everything's gelling, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are headed to the playoffs. They don't have to rely on the Miami Dolphins being the Buffalo Bills anymore. I really thought it was going to come down to that game. I did not think Titans were going to win this game. I knew they had a chance, though, because division matchups are always hard, and these games are always close. But I thought the Jags might have actually pulled it away. But no, the Titans dominated, and they won the game, gave the Steelers a playoff berth, and also gave the Bills a playoff berth as well in doing so. So the Steelers, they've officially made the playoffs, and you'll see them either versus Miami or Buffalo in the very first wild card matchup. They'll be facing one of those two teams. If Buffalo beats Miami later today, they'll be facing Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. But if Miami Dolphins beat Buffalo Bills later today, then Miami Dolphins will be facing the Steelers in the playoffs. I'll get into it, the matchup when it actually happens, and why I believe one would be easier than the other. But for now, the Steelers have made the playoffs. And let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on this. Do you think they have a chance to win a playoff game this year or go deep and make a run in the playoffs? Or do you believe, just like other seasons, it's going to be that they make the playoffs and get eliminated right away? Give me your thoughts on this whole season in general as well. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like serious content, analysis, reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for this channel as well, so you get notified whenever I post next Steelers video. I cover everything Steelers, I post every single day, so to stay updated with everything, subscribe to the channel with notifications on. And one last thing, you always want to strive for the playoffs, and now it's not a wasted season. The Steelers have made it in. And when you make it in, even though you might not think you have a chance, anything can happen. They can make a run, and they could do this.